Ringside, we take you there. Legends fall and heroes rise. Glory found through the battle cries. Ringside seed for the truth untold. Here we break the mighty mold. Ringside Rumble, feel the roar. Analysis and so much more. Ringside seed for the truth untold. Here we break the mighty mold. Ringside Rumble, feel the roar. Analysis and so much more. Repeat, slam and broken floor. Step into our world, hear the score.
Hey there, Rumble Squad. Welcome back to Ringside Rumble. I'm your host, Anthony Scott. And the dust has finally settled on Elimination Chamber 2026. The United Center in Chicago was an absolute cauldron of emotional and biomechanical warfare. We had hometown heroes, absolute structural dismantling inside the steel, and one of the most bizarre audience reactions of the decade. I'd almost say it was right up there with the gobbledygooker. Let's get right into the breakdown. First off, the women carried the night. Before we even talk about the steel structure closing the show, we have to acknowledge the absolute reality of this premium live event. The women's division carried this card from a purely psychological and athletic standpoint. From an anatomical perspective, the women set an impossible standard right out of the gate. Rhea Ripley didn't just survive the chamber, she systematically dismantled the competition. In the final moments, the kinetic energy Mommy generated to drive Tiffany Stratton into that unforgiving Lexan pod was staggering. The blunt force trauma to Stratton's lumbar spine was immediate, and Ripley followed it up with a devastating riptide to punch her ticket to WrestleMania 42. And then you have the emotional zenith of the evening. AJ Lee stepping into the ring, a WWE ring, for a singles match after 11 years to face the man Becky Lynch. The gravity in that arena was deafening. Becky tried to grind the hometown hero down, but AJ proved her technical grappling hasn't aged a day. By capitalizing on Lynch and hitting an exposed turnbuckle, AJ locked in the Black Widow. She applied simultaneous, excruciating torque to Lynch's shoulder and her cervical spine, forcing the tap out. Between the violence of the chamber and the masterclass of this title bout, the women were the structural pillars in Chicago. Speaking of hometown heroes, the World Heavyweight Championship match kept that emotional momentum going. CM Punk walking into Chicago is always magical. But Finn Balor didn't care about that hometown pop. Balor operated like a tactical surgeon in that ring. He immediately targeted Punk's intercostal muscles and patellar tendons, attempting to restrict his oxygen flow and cut off his base. It was a war of attrition. Punk had that hometown adrenaline coursing through his veins, and in professional wrestling, pure emotion can sometimes counteract lactic acid buildup. Punk pushed through the anatomical dismantling, hoisted Balor up, and delivered a devastating GTS, driving Balor's skull directly into his patella. The concussive force was enough to secure the pinfall and retain the gold. And then, folks, the energy in the United Center completely shifted after that emotional high when general managers Adam Pearce and Nick Aldis finally opened the mystery container on stage. The crowd was waiting for a massive, landscape-altering return. Instead, they got a coffin, face-painted dancers, and Danhausen handing Michael Cole a jar of glass teeth. From a psychological crowd control perspective, this was a catastrophe. The Chicago fans were ravenous. When you tease a mystery box on a major premium live event, you're making a subconscious promise to the audience. Delivering a niche, independent comedy act right after CM Punk retained his title to a crowd expecting a seismic shift, like maybe Chris Jericho, it resulted in an immediate auditory backlash. The fan reaction was visceral, and it completely sucked the oxygen out of the United Center going into that final match. And it really took all 10 tons of unforgiving steel hanging above that ring to try to wake that crowd back up. The men's Elimination Chamber was an absolute car crash of kinetic energy and intersecting storylines. This was a biomechanical warfare to close the show. You had Cody Rhodes enduring incredible blunt force trauma against the unforgiving steel grating, compromising the structural integrity of his ribs and spine just to stay in the match. But then the psychological landscape of the match fractured when Seth Rollins came back as the masked man, followed by Drew McIntyre forcing his way into the structure to interfere. Amidst that absolute chaos, Randy Orton played a perfect game of anatomical chess. Orton is a master of situational awareness. While McIntyre and Rollins disrupted the ecosystem of the chamber, Orton found his opportunity against Cody Rhodes. He struck with the RKO, rapidly pulling Cody's anterior neck and jaw down across his shoulder, hyperextending the cervical spine with sudden sheer force. Orton capitalized on that interference, secured the pinfall, and now the Viper is officially heading to Vegas to challenge Drew McIntyre. What an incredible night of action. This is the Ringside Rumble breakdown, folks. The women, gotta hand it to them, they stole the show. Orton is going to WrestleMania, and Danhausen is officially part of the WWE. Whether Chicago liked it or not, sound off in the comments. Who was your MVP of the night? Hit that like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and we'll see you next time as the road to WrestleMania continues.